Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Halftime report for December of 2023. How am I getting on with the pens I started out this month with? Well, the first pen, this was the Monteverde Ritma. Beautiful olive colour, beautiful black coloured nib there. This is a broad nib, cartridge converter. There we go. Not really had any issues with this pen. It's a nice weight. I love the weight and size of it. It fits very nice in my hand and I know it's there. I can feel it because of the weight. Little niggles, the section, it's metallic. It does feel slippy. Now, I hold my pens down near the bottom. I don't have a problem with my fingers slipping that much. I know some people do, especially if you hold your pen further up. So that's one little niggle. Could have been fixed by having this maybe slightly concave with a little bit of a lip. That might have fixed that. Very nice industrial design though. I really like the look of this. Writes nicely. I have had issues in the past with this with shimmer inks. The ink in here is a standard. Deliberately put a standard ink in because I know in the past, as I say, shimmer inks tend to block up the feed. Which is a shame because like Diamine Olive Swirl, which is a beautiful olive colour, which matches the olive colour of this material. But it's got shimmer and a bit of a pain in the butt to be quite honest. But the ink I've got in here, Diamine Mistletoe, nice colour match, works very well with it, had no issues with flow. My next pen, the Nahvalur Schylkill. Here we go, this is in Paw Peter Navy. Beautiful pen, got hints of chatoyancy as we go around in the light, not sure if it'll show up. There we go, very nice. Piston filling pen, we have an ink window. The ink window, yeah, not just about usable, but I would have personally preferred it a little bit wider, but that's a very personal thing. Got the Nahvalur nib on there. This is a medium Nahvalur nib. Hopefully it'll come into focus for you. Love this colouring, love this Paw Peter Navy. I've got a couple of Schylkills. Love the colours on both of them. This one writes really well, had no issues with it. No issues with the flow, no issues with hard starts or skipping. The ink in here is a sheening ink. It's Diamine Ruby Blues, which is a predominantly blue ink, and then there's hints of red sheen. But what I find with this is that red sheen, it's quite subtle. It's not really jumping out in your face, and I think that works really well. So most of what you see is that blue, but then you just get that little bit of character, and I really like that. I love to see character in my writing. Downside of this, again, I'm being picky. It does feel a little bit on the thin side, not unusably so. You know, maybe an extra couple of millimetres, that's all it would need. But that's just for me. I've got quite large hands. So that's the Nahvalur Schylkill. Next up, from Retro 51, we've got a Tornado here. This is the Lincoln model. This is like an antique type coppery colour. Very nice colour. Love this. I love this copper pen. It's my only copper pen. I've had it now about 18 months and hopefully you can maybe see there, starting to get hints of black coming through as this is aging through use. Very nice. It's another one, it's a cartridge converter. There we go, nearly out of ink. This is actually today's pen as of me recording this, so I'm guessing by the end of today this will be ready to be cleaned out. Because we're past the halfway mark, I'm not intending to refill this. The ink on here, the nib on here, this is a 1.1 stub. Beautiful stub nib, writes really well. Gives a very nice line variation, like natural line variation. Downsides, section on this very thin, even compared to that Nahvalur Schylkill. So I do find, you know, my fingers feel like they're squashed together a lot. So if I'm using this for more than a few sentences, I do find my fingers tend to start to ache a little bit. The ink, Diamine Vintage Copper. So, let's see, it's quite a nice coppery colour. You can't really see much now. It's got a nice, really bright coppery shimmer. I don't see a lot of the shimmer when I'm writing. And one of the things I am finding is the shimmer does occasionally block the feed. So if I leave this for maybe 5 or 6 days, I have to shake it a few times like this. And at one time I had to actually prime the feed to get it to write again. But other than that, as long as you're not leaving it, it picks up and it writes straight off. Love this copper, as I say. One of the things I know I mentioned about this at the start of the month was with the converter. The converters actually not come out previous times I've used this, the converter has popped out. But what I had done is I pulled out the nib and feed before using this and reseated it. So I'm hoping that by reseating it, that's actually fixed that issue with the converter. I need to use it a bit more with some more different inks just to see that if that's carrying on happening like that. Just dropping in to interrupt your regular programming. Would you like to help support the channel? If so, please consider joining as a member. As a member, you'll get early access to my videos. I normally upload them a couple of days before they go out, and as soon as they're uploaded, they'll be released to members. There'll also be a shout out at the end of the videos, and then as we get the members coming in, we'll actually chat among ourselves and work out what other perks, what other things you'd like me to add in. You know, would you like maybe a monthly live chat just for members? All down to us. So please, if you can, consider joining the channel. A link will be in the description down below. Pen number 4. This is the first Christmas pen. This is the Ranga Santa. Beautiful colouring. Nice, sizable pen. So the Ranga Santa, made by Ranga. It's an Indian pen. Cartridge converter. So it comes with a converter. It's all resin. You could eyedropper this. I don't intend to. I find using the converter works quite well for me. This one, getting close to being out of ink. So again, it's one may run out this week. If it does, again, I'm not sure. I don't think I'll refill it. The nib on here, it's actually a Yoho nib. So this is a Yoho 1.1 stub nib. Again, beautiful line variation. Similar to what I see with that Retro 51. I will be honest, it's one of my nicest 1.1 stub nibs. I just love this, and for Christmas, for December, for the ink vent period, I think it's just the perfect pen to use. Size-wise, it's a good size. The section doesn't feel too bad. Maybe a little bit wider than the Schylkills, which is why it doesn't feel as bad. And my fingers certainly, I'm not sure if you see there, they're not squashing up against each other. I enjoy writing with this pen. It's a real pleasure to write with. Next up, we've got the Conklin All American. This is the Courage model. So there we've got Conklin All American with the stamping there on the body. Another nice pen. Cartridge converter. This one at the moment you can see is fairly full. It ran out last week, so I did refill it. And in here we've got that Conklin nib made from by Yoho. And this one is a broad nib. Now, one of the things I did mention at the start of the month, I had a problem with the converter. Every time I opened it up, there was ink all over here. And you see it's got some red staining because it was a red ink. What I've done is I do have another All American. I've swapped the converters over. And so far, not had a problem with that leakage. So I think that leakage was to do with the converter. I'll most probably strip that down and see if I can get that sorted before I use it again. As I said, I did change the ink. So I started the month off with Diamine Spiced Apple, which was a red ink with like a nice gold shimmer. That went well with the red highlights in here. And then partway through the month, when it ran out, I actually opened it up on one of my YouTube lives, asked what ink they thought I should use. And so now I've got Diamine Appletini. Beautiful shade in ink. Only used it one day in anger, so I need to use it a little bit more. But nice, gorgeous green with gorgeous shade coming through. So that's the Conklin All American. My final pen, my final starting pen, and so far the final pen of the month. This is another one that I call a Christmassy pen. This is the Benu Talisman, and this is in Dragon's Blood. I'm just trying to capture the light here for you. Nice sparkly pen. We've got red sparkles, we've got green, and then we've got like a black body. So I can see why it's called Dragon's Blood. But to me, this is just a Christmas pen. You've got the sparkles, you've got the red and the green from your tinsel. Absolutely beautiful. And it's another pen, like the Santa, I intend to use every December. On here, we've got a Schmidt nib. I have to be careful how I pronounce that. And this is a broad nib. Beautiful nib. One of my nicest nibs, I will be honest. Very soft, not bouncy soft, but it's just got this nice give as you're writing. Such a pleasure to use. In here, it's another one with a cartridge converter. This one now about half empty. I have actually refilled this. So I started the month with Diamine All the Best. That's actually the same ink as I've got in the Ranga Santa. Partway through the month, obviously it ran out, so I filled it with Diamine Best Wishes. And the thing with those two inks, all the best was the 2021 Day 25 ink. Best Wishes was the 2022 Day 25 ink. So I thought that was nice. Not sure which ink I prefer in here. In the past, I've used Diamine Garland, which was another ink from the 2021 calendar. But I'm getting quite low on that, which is why I swapped to the others. I did like Garland in this pen. I thought they worked really well. The inks I've had in here, they are shimmer inks. So similar to what I was saying with the Retro 51, occasionally I've had issues where the flow would not actually start up, as if it was a little bit of a blockage, maybe from that shimmer in the actual feed. So all I've done is, again, I just do a couple of shakes and it starts writing again. So I don't need to prime the converter. But again, just something to be aware of with this. I love the shape of this. I don't know, again, if it captures on the light here, but it's not a round body. It's got these nice little strips and feels very, very nice. So that's the Benu Talisman in Dragon's Blood. So they're the pens I started the month with. They're the pens I'm still using now. As I say, now we're past halfway through the month. What I intend to do is, as a pen runs out, I'm not going to refill it. Purely that's because I don't want to end up with loads of pens getting carried forward into next year with little bits of ink in them. Definitely I'm going to finish 2 of them. Maybe the third one, I'm not sure, but we'll see how it goes over the next few days. What pens are you using this month? How did you decide what to use? How did you decide the inks? I personally like this idea of having a theme, because that lets me think about, and sometimes if the theme's abstract enough, you can really get some interesting combinations. Why don't you drop a comment down below? Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.